Time to light the match for the burning truth with Casey Hendrickson.
I don't know. Kamala Harris, apparently somebody told her, hey, you look really dejected this morning, so when you're in Wisconsin doing the rally that you're doing right now, like, be more animated. And she's doing weird crap with her hands now. Like, I don't... Listen, people keep asking me. I will give it to you as honest as I can. Casey, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Can he win? Can he win? Can he win? I don't think it's possible for Donald Trump to lose a fair election at this point. It is what it is. It is what it is. If he loses this thing, guarantee you it ain't on the up and up. There's no way. It's not possible. Sorry. It's just not. Look at everything they had to do in 2020 to pull off what they pulled off. And yeah, I've had a lot of people in Michigan reaching out to me over the past couple of days because they're getting excited in Michigan, and I understand why. But it's Michigan. It's run by three of the most corrupt people in politics that I've ever seen: the governor, the attorney general, and the secretary of state. The Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, who very likely could be the next governor of Michigan, by the way, is consistently showing up in Washington, D.C. and telling people that they obey the law there. Illegal immigrants aren't gonna mess with the elections there. The fact that they have more people on the voter rolls than they have eligible voters in the state is irrelevant. It's not a big deal. You don't need to worry about it. And then they just had a Chinese student on a student visa at one of the universities illegally register to vote and cast his ballot in Michigan. And Michigan's response to that is, we're going to count his vote because it's already been processed and we have no way of pulling his ballot off and removing his votes. That's Jocelyn Benson. Now, who do you think the Chinese immigrant student illegally voted for? You think they illegally voted for Trump or Kamala Harris? Which one do you think? Who do you think China wants to deal with? Does China want to deal with Trump and everything that Trump has done to China? Or does China want to deal with Kamala Harris, who is sitting there saying, I'm going to make this as friendly and easy on China as I possibly can? They said, you start pay attention to this stuff, man. You got Wayne County. Nobody's forgotten Wayne County. I understand that. Friendly reminder that Trump won Michigan in 2020. We called it. Everybody called it. We went to bed. We woke up and suddenly Michigan was changed. And the news media told you, oh, you didn't see all of the things and the shenanigans that happened in Michigan in the middle of the night that wasn't supposed to happen and was illegal to happen. You didn't see any of that, even though we've got hundreds of people signing sworn affidavits under penalty of prison time that they saw it happen. You're not allowed to pretend that any of that actually happened, and you're not allowed to talk about it. So, yeah, Michigan. Do I think that Trump can win Michigan? Yes, because I think Trump's won Michigan both other times. I just don't know if he'll win Michigan. Catch my drift? Michigan is Michigan. It's a special place. It doesn't matter what happens, by the way, at all. Here's something that you need to save that story, because if one immigrant illegally registered to vote and illegally voted in Michigan, and while Michigan caught them, still counted their vote, you have to ask how many others did so too. Does it really matter if you capture somebody illegally voting in Michigan if you're still going to count their vote? Does it really matter? Probably not. So don't let anybody forget there was voter fraud in the state of Michigan, and the state of Michigan did not have a system in place to correct it. Even though Democrats, before the 2016 election, begged Michigan to put a system in place to fix that. So you also have just people losing their minds. Look, Mark Cuban, he's going to make money on a Kamala Harris administration. So he went on the View. Can you cue my audio, please? He got just absolutely nuked yesterday for saying this.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
Okay. Before I get into some of the best responses to Mark Cuban saying that Donald Trump never surrounds himself with strong women, I would like to remind you that the 11th hour pitch that the Kamala Harris team put out there in campaign ads was, women, you don't have to tell your husbands how you vote, which is an implication that if they did, it would be a problem, which frankly has been a theme of her campaign. Don't tell your husbands that you're voting for Kamala Harris. Just go do it. You don't have to tell your husbands. Why? Because the husbands will what? Be angry, abuse them, prevent them from going to vote. What's the implication there? Honestly, what's the implication there? What kind of a crap relationship do you have to be in that you can't tell your significant other who you're voting for? Seriously. Go back and look at political history since 2016, folks. It's Trump supporters who are being left by women because they voted for Trump. Not the other way around. Like I said, there's whole social media trends about it, TikTok trends about it, everything else. There was a whole campaign that started in Chicago to not sleep with your husband or your boyfriend if they were a Trump supporter. Remember that? That went viral. That was on the nightly news as a thing that women should do. Now, Mark Cuban, who frankly doesn't surround himself publicly with a lot of women who are known for their intellect, he ironically says this on a show called The View with some of the dumbest women ever in American media. And he says this with Ivanka out there, with Uma Abedin out there. I don't, folks. It is beyond stupid. The final pitch that they have been giving you is, men, you're sex crazed and you're addicted to pornography, and will protect your pornography if you vote for Kamala Harris, because we all know how she got where she's at. And ladies, you're probably in a toxic, abusive relationship that you need to hide who you're voting for from your husbands. So you need to hide it, go vote for Kamala anyway, and just keep it on the down low, because you can't trust your husbands to be respectful of your opinion. And then you have Mark Cuban going out there and going, yeah, every woman around Donald Trump is just like stupid and weak. Like, that's the pitch. That's honest. That's a hell of a pitch right before an election, don't you think? You throw in there that, oh, by the way, all of his supporters are garbage. Oh, and they're Nazis. Oh, and they're deplorables. And I don't regret saying deplorables anymore. I actually agree with my statement. Remember that? I have a post I'm going to put in the Daily Show prep of 7 really good responses. So you got Harriet Hagman on there. Alina Abba is on there. Marjorie Taylor Greene is on there. Riley Gaines is on there. Kellyanne Conway. Kristi Noem. You got Jessie Jane Duff. Alveda King is on there. Oh, by the way, Alveda King, who is not smart or strong, woman of color who has a PhD, by the way. Anna Paulina Luna is on there. You got Elise Stefanik. How do you think Mark Cuban would do in a congressional hearing with Elise Stefanik asking him questions? Friendly reminder that Elise Stefanik brought down 2 of the most powerful university heads in the country just by asking them questions. Lisa Booth. Like I said, it's a heck of a pitch. You're all garbage. Women are weak. They can't tell their husbands who they vote for. Yet Trump only surrounds himself with weak women. Men are addicted to pornography. And we'll save your pornography if you vote for us, because you can't, function without being addicted to pornography. Has there ever been a presidential campaign? And I genuinely mean this, especially for those who are older than I am. Go back in time. Has there genuinely been a presidential campaign in American history that has more insulted large swaths of the American public than Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's campaigns have? I can think of a lot of times where, you know, they maybe insulted most Republicans, but I can't think of a time where they insulted pretty much all young men, all married women, all Republican women, and of course, nearly 80 million Americans just whole cloth. I genuinely can't think of a time where that has happened in a presidential campaign before this. Something, again, for you to think about if you haven't cast your vote already. Got more coming up. You're tuned into The Burning Truth. I still have a question. Like, has anybody figured out who this Walter guy is in the Jennifer McCormick ad? Mr. I've been a lifelong Republican, but I'm voting for Jennifer McCormick. Do we not know who this guy is? Can I ask a serious question here? I already know the answer, okay? But I have to ask a serious question. Why hasn't the news media in the state of Indiana figured out who Walter is? You find that in any way, shape, or form interesting? Come on, news media. How come you have not put in any effort to figure out who Walter is in the Democrat gubernatorial campaign ad to do some kind of a feature on him? Now, I want you to think about this. Some of you who might be like, well, why would they? Let's just back up here. Let's go into like just recent American political history. Every time somebody kind of goes viral, right, as being switching sides in a campaign ad or at a town hall or something of that nature, the news media always finds that person and interviews that person and does a profile on that person. So you kind of know who the person is. It's a human interest story. Like, who is Walter, the lifelong Republican who is in the campaign ad? I mean, he's not hiding. He's in a campaign ad for Jennifer McCormick. So who is he? What is his history? How did he vote? Is he a lifelong Republican? Is he related to Jennifer McCormick? She was a Republican too. Maybe he's only voting for Jennifer McCormick because they're related. I don't know. Folks, I don't know. Who is he? That's the thing that we have to find out, right? We got to figure out who the heck is this Walter guy, and why isn't the media at all interested in who he is? What do you think would happen? So Walter's in Delaware County, right? So I may have to do a background check on this during the news break. The news media hasn't paid any attention to this dude. Don't know who he is. I find that a little suspicious. Folks, we got in St. Joseph County, we have a woman who is running for county council as a Democrat who became pen pals with the Tiger King, who has fought for his early release from prison because he's, and I quote, an innocent man, who has been accused of fraud, who has been accused of fraud not just by the Tiger King, but by Tiger King supporters. The Tiger King has, I mean, if you watch that show, I don't think that there's any doubt that he's a bit of a bigot. Don't you think? Bit of a bigot. If any Republican said what the Tiger King said, would any Democrat not call him racist? Let me put it that way. So if you're a Democrat, then the Tiger King is 100% racist. Maybe if you're not a Democrat, you're like, he's just flamboyant, whatever. But if you're a Democrat, the Tiger King is 100% racist. Absolutely racist. The production team for the show Tiger King called him, and I quote, categorically racist. They said some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes that didn't even make the show made it completely crystal clear. Now, again, my memory's been a little wonky and a little weird. Morgan, have they or have they not made a case that Donald Trump has said the N-word on the set of The Apprentice, but we never had any tapes for that?
They've never released the tapes.
They've never released the
out there.
Yeah, they've never. But they keep saying it, right? They keep. Oh yeah, he dropped the. He's a super racist guy. They never provide any evidence that he's racist. Okay, so we have some evidence that Tiger King is racist. We've got evidence now of a whammon running as a Democrat for St. Joseph County Council.
Well, there's definitely evidence that the Tiger King is racist.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no Democrat out there that won't say the Tiger King is racist. So beyond the fact that you have a Notre Dame employee, a Democrat, Tammy Springer, running for St. Joseph County Council, who became pen pals with a prison inmate and fought to have him released from prison because she says he's an innocent man, she chose to put herself in his world, right? The categorically racist guy. If she were a Republican, would all of the local television stations and the local newspapers do a story about that? I think they would do a story about that. I think they'd probably do a bunch of stories about the Republican who worked for the, quote, categorically racist Tiger King and fought to get the convicted felon Tiger King out of prison. But now they're running for office. Oh, and they've been accused of fraud by many people. Oh, and they threatened the life of a local media personality on Reddit. You know how many stories have been done about that outside of my own stuff? Zero. How many people with Tammy Springer signs out in their front lawn know that she worked for a categorically racist Tiger King? And when I wrote the first article on it, during the primary, by the way, she was still working for him. And after I wrote the article, suddenly she wasn't. Isn't that what a quinky dink there, Morgan? Not one television station, not one local newspaper anywhere picked that up. Not a single one. Not a one. Is it because she's got a D next to her name? I'll bet it's because she's got a D next to her. That's right. If she's got the D, they're gonna run cover for her. That's what it is. Tammy Springer has the D. So local media, they got her back. Funny how that is. So who is Walter? More coming up. You're tuned into The Burning Truth.
The Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. I do want to thank R&B Car Company. And again, they got locations in South Bend, Warsaw, and Fort Wayne. Go to rbcarcompany.com. So who's Walter? Who's Walter from Jennifer McCormick's political campaign ads? I'm going to give a lot of credit here to Rob Kendall over at WIBC, because they ran with this. They did like a whole hour of this whole thing, trying to figure out who this guy was one day. And they put it out on social media. They put it out on their audience. So again, this is Kendall and Casey on WIBC in Indianapolis. And like, who is this guy? Somebody has to know who this guy is. And they said they got a bunch of tips on who he is. Well, they found out who he is. Now, you have to understand something about this. This is, I mean, first of all, this is hysterical. We're sitting here watching this campaign ad, right? And it didn't make a lot of sense. So you've got a lifelong Republican who thinks that Micah Beckwith is bat bleep crazy, says it in the ad. Now, again, I have to ask, how would the Indiana media react if Mike Braun or Micah Beckwith had an ad in which they had somebody drop that kind of language. Like, what would the media backlash for that actually be? I'm going to remind you. No, keep it up. I wasn't expecting to autoplay. This is the ad. I want you to hear this again. This is Walter. You can't vote for Mike Braun, doesn't like Micah Beckwith, but he's a lifelong Republican, right? So this is the guy that McCormick is highlighting as the common sense Republican unifying factor in her campaign, and how she is able to appeal to these, good Republicans, not those crazy Republicans like Micah Beckwith.
Now, I've been a Republican my whole life, but Mike Braun, I can't vote for him. First of all, Braun outsourced his work to China just to make an extra buck. I don't want to talk about abortions, but Braun wants to ban them all, and that's just wrong. And then his running mate, that guy's a crazy book-banning piece of work. I'm proud to be a Republican, but we can't let Mike Braun and Micah Beckwith run Indiana.
All right, so the Democrats are all over Reddit going, oh, this is hysterical. This is one of the funniest ads ever. I mean, I know where he lives. I have his phone number. I have his email address. I know who his relatives are. I know where they live. Got it all. I'm looking right at it. So who is Walter? Walter, who is the common sense Republican who is willing to leave the extremist camp and go over to Jennifer McCormick so that Indiana can not fall to the extremists, right? Well, his name is Walt Wigner. Walt Wigner. That's his name. You can find him. He retired from General Motors. He lives in Anderson, Indiana. Okay. Wife, Theta. You can go take a look at his social media posts. He's not hiding. He's not hiding at all. Well, the weird thing about this is I'm sitting here and I'm looking at some of his social media posts. And these are social media posts which, well, frankly, I mean, they're a lot more extremist than anything Micah Beckwith has said. And they would be considered by the Indiana Democratic Party and probably the Democratic Party at large as being like super racist and Islamophobic. How the bleep did we go from honoring those who died with Poppy Day to Stop It, It Offends Muslims? Who gives a bleep? I will wear my poppy with pride. That's so weird. That is why would the Indiana Democratic Party support somebody who says such things? That's very strange. Huh. This guy has donated to Act Blue, which is the Democrat Party fundraising arm. You can look this up. It's all public records. We'll put it in the Daily Show prep for you. Very strange that the moderate Jennifer McCormick would be basically highlighting this guy as kind of the face of, normal stuff. Very, very strange. Start running through some of those social media posts. Rob Kendall posted a couple of days ago. He goes, Micah Beckwith says that people in the country are overstaying their legally allowed time, and we need to vet them because they're draining resources. He's been called a racist, a bigot, fearmonger by the Indiana Democratic Party. He's been lied about by people like Wish TV and everybody else as wanting to deport legal immigrants. That's not what he said. Walter posted an interesting meme, and no money for you, we give it to all the foreigners. And it's a rear view of Kamala Harris staring at flooding after the hurricane, where FEMA still hasn't delivered resources to people. And he says, remember this next month. He just posted on the 21st. This is the 21st of October. So why does Walter want to support McCormick and not support Mike Braun? And why does he not like Micah Beckwith? He's probably paid to tell people that he doesn't like Micah Beckwith. I don't know. So Walt Wigner responded to somebody on his Facebook. First of all, let me just say that there's something I don't care for about Braun. I can't put a finger on it, but I have never liked him. Second, Jennifer is a friend. When I was asked if I would help, I said yes. I mean, I was close, right, Morgan? I said maybe he's a relative. I was close, so he's a family friend of Jennifer McCormick, who, again, used to be a Republican. You realize that Walt Wigner is the type of Republican that Jennifer Cormick says drove her away from the Republican Party and into the welcoming arms of the Democratic Party, right? This is the guy that she says drove her away from the Republicans. I was asked if I would help. I said yes. Do you agree with everything everyone you have voted for has ever said or done? Of course not. As for national versus local, I don't think a governor holds our national security in their hands. World economics, oil imports, exports, or border security. As for abortions, I sure don't believe they should be done as a form of birth control, but there are situations where they could be necessary as deemed by a medical professional. Oh. Well, I mean, son of a gun. So we have a Jennifer McCormick family friend who really doesn't like Kamala Harris, has said some things that your normal Democrat would say is Islamophobic and racist, certainly sexist, and yet, magically, he's the moderate Republican that Jennifer McCormick wants to ally herself with? Seriously, folks, go through Walt Wigner's social media post on Facebook. Go through it. I think he's got an Instagram, too. I haven't dove into the Instagram thing yet. Look for Walt Wigner. He's got a picture of himself, his wife. There's an American flag in the background, and it says retired at General Motors, Madison Heights High School, Anderson, Indiana. That's him. Like, go through all of it, folks. Just look at some of the social media posts on this thing. This guy. Yeah. This guy's something else. He's certainly not the moderate. He's certainly not the moderate guy that you are led to believe by Jennifer McCormick. And all of you Democrats out there who didn't care who Walter was. Now, and so here's the thing. Who in all of the news media in the entire state of Indiana, who found out who this guy was? A talk show on a radio station in Indianapolis. They're the ones who found him. Why didn't anybody else in the news media do this? Seriously, why is it on us? We're not supposed to be doing this stuff. That's not our job. If you can pay $12 for a fancy latte and $1,000 for an iPhone, by the way, $1,000 iPhone is a cheap iPhone. You can pay your own student loans. Well, that sounds pretty darn offensive too for all you Democrats out there hoping that Jennifer McCormick helps with the student loan thing. I'm told, Morgan, that if you attack Taylor Swift, like that is a no-go, especially if you're a Democrat, right? Not just for the 12-year-old girls, but especially if you're a Democrat. That's still a thing, right, Morgan? You're
Yes.
from the music side of things. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Walt Wigner, October 23rd. Taylor Swift hasn't bought her own groceries in years. No wonder she thinks the last 4 years have been okay. Damn. Come on, Swifties, get on Walt Wigner. Jennifer McCormick, super fan. Egyptian babies didn't know that one day their daddy will become a mummy. What does Walt Whitmer post? Neither did the Kardashians. He's a transphobe, too.
That one was pretty good.
Oh, no, it's hysterical. Don't get me wrong. It's a really funny joke. But again, I'm only putting this out there, okay? You Democrats have been running around talking about how much you want to lick the backside of Walt Wigner since he showed up in that ad because he's a real Republican. He's not one of these crazy Michael Beckwith Republicans. Here he is making trans jokes, racist jokes, Islamophobic jokes. It's like, really? Folks, everything that the Democrats tell you is a lie. Like, without fail. Without fail. Kudos to Kendall and Casey at WIBC for finding out who this dude was. I went ahead and confirmed all of it independently. I ran my background check system on him. I know where he lives and everything else. So I was confirming all of their data through my ability to do those background checks. But That's your moderate Republican, huh, Jennifer McCormick? Interesting stuff. More coming up. You're tuned into The Burning Truth. I just can't. He's an election denier, by the way. Walt Wigner is. He's an election denier. That's so strange. Didn't Jennifer McCormick kind of highlight that a couple of times and why she doesn't like Donald Trump? And he's pro voter ID. I'm just sitting here looking at this. He's got he's got a picture of a black woman holding a shirt. It says, "I'm with Kamala." Just kidding. I'm not a bleeping idiot. What would, honestly, what would the Democratic Party say about Walter from the Jennifer McCormick ad if it was a Republican? Oh my gosh. It's like I said, if the news media in the state of Indiana were in any way proficient in their duties, this would have been flushed out a long time ago. For you Democrats out there, I suppose I have to ask you this question, even though, 110% of you have already voted. Do you trust somebody who used to be a Republican and is now a Democrat, who says she just avoids the extremism of those Republicans, and yet her family friend, Walt Wigner, is the very form of extremism that she claims to reject? What if, I'm just asking questions, folks, what if Jennifer McCormick is a psyop by the Indiana GOP? What if the Indiana GOP figured out, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do what the Democrats have been doing in this state for a long time. We're going to pretend to be one of them, get elected either way, and then we're going to push our extremist agenda through, and the Democrats won't be able to do anything about it. I mean, maybe. After all, she does have a racist, sexist, transphobe election denier as her moderate Republican. I will say this, though. Walter's got a good sense of humor. I don't know why he donated to Act Blue. I'm kind of curious as to why he donated to the Democrats' funding arm. That's an interesting question. All right, so yesterday was Halloween. How was your Halloween? Was it good? Kid have a good time?
Yeah, they had a great time.
Good. Yeah, mine did too. And it's always nice. We got a new tradition. We hang out with friends. We've done it the past couple of years. It's been good neighborhood, safe neighborhood, good people. So that was good. My neighborhood has way more children in it now than it did when I moved in, because we used to get nobody. And now it's like a steady stream. So I actually have to plan for Halloween now. I went years without being able to do Halloween because nobody would come around. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, there is this town that has ordered a man to remove his offensive Halloween display. A mother's concerns about bloody handprints at her child's daycare and a town ordering a man to remove a Halloween display deemed too offensive have sparked debates worldwide. Is it really worldwide, though? Are we really talking worldwide? I don't know about that. About whether some scary Halloween decorations go too far. North Carolina resident Scott Fever has hung a fake body from a tree as part of his haunted Halloween decor for the last 3 years, but town officials recently ordered its removal for the first time because of its location. Fever creates the fake body by stuffing and painting a tarp that he then wraps in large chains and hangs from ropes from a tree. This isn't like, it's a hearkening back to slavery and lynching and things like that. This isn't one of those stories. The town of Wake Forest ordered him to remove the decoration this year after receiving multiple complaints. They informed him that the mummy was on public property, and he had until 3 p.m. on Tuesday to remove it. He claimed that he couldn't remove the decoration from the tree by that deadline, and the town removed it for him and left the mummy on his porch. So, more coming up next.
Podcasts by Federated Media.